let's get a legal angle on this now with Joseph Kotrie-Monson, who is a criminal lawyer. Good morning, sir.
Good morning there.
So, Mr. Kotrie-Monson, how serious is this allegation of misconduct in public office?
Well, good morning to you. Good morning to listeners and watchers. How serious? Maximum sentence of life imprisonment. Serious enough for you? Well, it's a common law offence, so that means it's laid down as a result of kind of legal tradition and previous decisions rather than statute. So it's not actually as terrifying as it sounds in that regard. That's just the fact that there isn't a maximum doesn't mean that people don't, there isn't a maximum, it's a maximum of life, I should say. It doesn't mean that people actually get life. It usually carries a prison sentence. It carries a prison sentence in circumstances as well, innocuous or low level, as, for example, a police officer using the police national computer, that private database with everything about us on it, to find out information for their own curiosity about celebrities or perhaps a neighbour or some girl they fancy or whatever else. Those kind of situations, that typically results in a short prison sentence. So, yeah, it's serious. It's prison. You know, police have attended a royal residence to gather evidence against the brother of the king. Wow, just let those words echo in your head for a minute. It's a paperwork offence, so or a paperwork allegation, one should say, typically this offence involves either the sharing of data, the access of data, using something that you encounter in the course of your duties for a purpose that is certainly either in neglect of those duties or against them, but not just like a mistake, to such a degree, the law says, as to amount, and here's the crucial words, to an abuse of the public's trust in the office holder. And really what that means, Mark, is so far below the standards that we expect of a public servant that it's criminal.
Now, Mr. Kotrie-Monson, it's my understanding that misconduct in public office is quite difficult to prove, but what we have is the small matter of 3 million documents as part of the release of the Epstein files. And we have, in principle, although Andrew denies all allegations, we have a digital paper trail, don't we? Alleged emails from Andrew sending the minutes of meetings with other countries in relation to business and international trade to Epstein. So will this help the authorities if they wish to pursue this?
Well, cases involving digital trail are generally the kind of thing that investigators like. That's why fraud is relatively easy to prove, because once you've got the paper trail, the money trail, the emails, the phone calls, texts, you need to either infer or prove dishonesty from there. We've got to be very careful, of course, don't we, to tread into that territory of saying, well, you've got all this, surely you're going to have an easy time, because, of course, this is a case that may well reach a jury, and if it does, we don't want to be seen to be prejudicing it, and you and I are experienced enough to know where that balance lies. But yeah, I think this is a case where that any material that's been seized is very important, anything that's available. And of course, as far as those 3 million emails are concerned, we know that only a small proportion of that very busy criminal Jeffrey Epstein's digital life will relate to Prince Andrew in those documents. One thing I can say, and this I suppose goes without saying, there's going to be a lot to look at, a lot to consider. There aren't going to be any quick decisions as far as the police and the CPS are concerned, and those above them, if you believe in that kind of thing, before a charging decision is made.
Can we read into anything into the fact that Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor has been released from police custody, that he's back at home? Does that tell us anything about where he's at amid these allegations?
Yeah, good question, actually. And I anticipated you might ask it, because one thinks, well, big arrest and it's all very intense, and then somebody's released. Okay, well, the temperature's turned down is a kind of common sense conclusion that actually sometimes if I have a client who's come to me and they've been arrested and then released, well, at least I was released and I wasn't put on bail conditions. In fact, as a practical step, that's what the police do now. The purpose of an arrest in circumstances where there is a complex criminal investigation is usually not so that you can get the person to the police station. Most people will attend voluntarily if you ask them. Certainly people of high status, one would expect that they would, in order to just avoid a scandal. It's actually so searches can take place of properties and such, and we know that happened here. Once that has happened, provided you know where the person is, and Prince Andrew is not, or the former Prince Andrew, I should say, not a particularly hard person to keep track of when you've got protection officers with him at all times anyway. Once you know where that person is, there's no need to keep that person on bail conditions and restricting their liberty while a decision is made. So the person is usually released under investigation, and that means the beginning of a long wait. And people probably don't appreciate what a suspect in criminal proceedings has to go through, waiting months or even years with that sword of Damocles, which may never fall above their head as their life is on pause. And it's a kind of soft torture. Of course, in many cases, goes for complainants in cases too. Some of those complainants, of course, are telling the truth and they're in fact victims.
Briefly, if you can, Joseph, Andrew denies these allegations. If they are proven, he's prosecuted and convicted by a jury in a court of law. Is a jail term likely for this sort of alleged crime? Or would it tend to be a suspended sentence, do you think?
In the most general terms, anyone in public office, which is a part of the definition, but as a high public office, who is neglecting that public office or the duties of that public office to the extent that it's so gross as to be criminal, these people go to prison. You have an illicit relationship as a police officer with a member of the public. It's misconduct in the public office. Think of the public's trust in the institutions. Think why, therefore, this offence is important and messages are sent.
A deep privilege to have you on the show, Joseph. Thank you so much for joining us. We may reach out to you later because it's terribly important what you have to say, given your experience as a criminal lawyer. Joseph Kotrie-Monson there. Thank you for your valuable time. And my goodness, that's a bombshell at 6:57.